Hobie was going to build. No.
So this parcel, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, your question is
so the parcel that this describes, or the parcel number that's on our agenda here, the 23176010. Now that parcel number describes what? I mean, what is that parcel? Is that?
That's that whole area.
That whole area. Okay.
It's not just this.
I got a little
piece
confused
like that,
because I saw this in the.
Right.
no, this is what they're asking about.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's
the
not
parcel
really what
number
we're
is
discussing. We're discussing it for the whole area. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it seems like to me that I guess I agree with Leroy. There's just a lot of unanswered questions about, you know, about what. I mean, because I mean, as far as these folks are concerned too. I mean, there's also the whole idea of this. You know, I understand that, you know, why they would want to keep this. What, you know, whatever happens over here is really going to affect them. But it also would be kind of strange to just cut out a little piece of a parcel. You know, you almost wonder if maybe it would be appropriate for this whole section to be retained. Yeah, a whole strip to be retained by the city, and then they could potentially.
The puppy parlor next door, they'd be interested in buying a little bit further back too, because
I suspected that
they wanted to maybe extend their
individuals that
parking
own
lot.
houses along there would probably be interested in that strip that would be stripped away from there, you know, as a buffer.
Where's C3 along that?
All the way to the corner, I guess.
Now, Wally Davis
So you are basically, you are a legal non-conforming use. That's what you are. But you've known that. And I'm not trying to be embarrassing you on that idea. It's at the point that the plan for along Luxmore was basically a corridor for the industrial park. And it's starting to be cleaned up a little bit. I understand your concern because you are the cleanest house along there. And your neighboring house, thank God, is soon to come down. So that is going to be a blight away from you, which I think you'll appreciate. The only thing is to sell you one little tiny piece out of that puzzle. I don't know that that's,
Well,
you know, that's not for me to say alone, but I'm just saying I don't know that that's, you know.
let me just comment on this. I think Wally Davis owns 2 lots, if I'm not mistaken, where the trailer is, and I think he owns a lot beyond that.
Where's that?
Dennis, is that correct?
He's the other side. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So, and if you just even that out from where Wally's second lot is, Puppy Parlor bought the next part, and we bought the next part, you know, I think we'd all be happy with it.
I think that's why I'm looking at the highest and best use that we should be looking at it. You know, realistically, you know, everyone said, well, you know, we put a high-rise there or whatever, or some sort of a commercial building in there, but is it really feasible to do that in that area? Or would your use, putting it back on the tax rolls by putting a strip in there and still have property there? You know, you're asking for 100 feet or so of city supposedly surplus property, you know, that hasn't been occupied in 90 years, you know.
Right.
Well, may I note that even as back, you know, back as far as '97, we talked about if something were to be done in this, we are already cognizant, and I believe it was Cortland who put in the fact that there should be a security strip or some type of a buffer zone between whatever was on the highway part and whatever went on in the interior. And even if that part is low, I mean, people push soils around and they can make holding areas and they can do all kinds of things. So, I mean, that would have to be dealt with the, you know, whatever would apply for something like that. And there are soil borings and everything, so we knew what, you know, how they were going to stand. That being said, are you saying that an area should be just cripped off at the end there, or what, make this initial C3 zone wider, or what?
If we want to make that just a portion of that 100, take 100 feet by whether 400 feet long, and declare that surplus so that the neighbors can get themselves a purchase a strip of land in there for their protection, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, I guess what I'm concerned with is if you did that as planners, okay, and you have this, you got a C3 zone, okay, and I think we have, what is this, a multiple residential?
Well,
Right now, it's
we're not
over.
sure. Right now, it's, I believe in 2000, it was zoned C3. And then it was with the hubby, that's when we believe it went to R2, but it doesn't look like it did.
Okay.
So it still seems to be all.
So everything's
C3.
C3, so it'd be consistent at least with the zoning of their property, guys.
So in other words, even if we lopped off another section, it's still staying the same consistent zoning?
Yeah.
Same
Okay.
zoning.
All right,
Yeah,
well then,
I'm not talking about
whatever
changing
your
the
preference-
zoning.
okay,
It
whatever
would-
your
It
preference
would
is.
just open up the
I
C3.
guess the only thing that would be,
And no one's gonna buy this portion here because it's,
I know
Yeah.
it's dropped about 10 feet there.
I understand that.
and that's what the question is that then by, I mean, I personally think that the way to do it is, yes, you know, that we would just take a strip off the end and then the property owners abutting it kind of option
So it's
buying.
consistent with what they already own?
Yeah, the only downfall of that is then, are we potentially making some sort of non-conforming lot down here that is just gonna be there and there's nothing separate going? I mean, not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but, I mean, are there lots?
It's still city property.
It's still city
No
property.
one's gonna buy that.
Yeah.
Because it goes down into a deep ravine there.
Yeah, and I guess the question is that, from a ordinance standpoint, do we have any restrictions on creating a non-conform, I don't know what our lot requirements are for
Yeah,
C3.
it's gotta be, I guess, 100 feet now. We used to have like 150, and we lowered that.
Okay, so it would still be a
So you
conforming
need,
lot.
yeah, so you need 100-foot frontage, so none of these lots are, well, theirs would
No,
be,
theirs
they got
is,
128.
they have 100, yeah.
Like
That one there is
the
a-
puppy
this
place
is a
wouldn't
small-
be conforming now.
It would be more conforming if it had an additional.
Right,
Yeah.
But it still wouldn't meet the width requirement, but.
Yeah, and I guess what my question is that like this section, this would be considered, even though it's basically unusable, I just want to make sure there's no legal issues with us creating a non-conforming lot, but it sounds like it would be considered conforming because it would have more than 100 feet of frontage.
Yeah,
along
we'd
the
have
street.
frontage this way, yeah.
Okay.
But then now, there are lots in here, like, this is the Saris one here, then there's that White House here that
Yeah.
does have a lot, and then there's a city lot that I think it's maybe 50 feet wide,
There's two
Then there's
houses.
another house
There's
right
two
here.
houses, yeah.
and then from there to the
Corner
curb
is
is all over,
vacant.
and it's city property.
Mhm.
So we would,
Well, so we already
Kinda have
know
a-
kind of there's already a
you know.
cookie cutter sort of.
yeah, so if we sold it, I don't know how I would put it out for sale, would we just put it by acre, a price per acre, and then if people wanted it, like, the Saris could say, well, they want this piece and it's so many acres, and then if this fellow wanted to
Yeah.
purchase behind his, he could, or the Saris could purchase all the way over here if
Yeah.
they wanted.
I mean, that's the question, I mean, I guess that's the hard
You
thing.
know,
is
or do you divvy it up into small, that
Well, then
this
we're-
would be a piece for sale, this would be a piece for sale, this was for sale.
Then we are creating non-conforming lots, though, because none of these lots have
They
frontage.
don't have the frontage, right?
So the only people that would have, I mean, yeah, that's what's kind of difficult about this, like, this situation's easier because if they buy it, then it'll be adjoined with their existing lot. Now, all of a sudden, and that's also another kind of hard technicality, because technically we have to put everything out for bid. Probably they're gonna be the only folks that bid on it, but in the meantime, by creating that lot, we're creating a non-conforming lot. So, and those are kind of the hard questions of, you know, how do you go about this to make it a legitimate process and still, you know, allow them to get the piece that they want to retain? So
Yeah,
it,
address their concerns.
yeah, it's
I see that.
it is kind of a sticky situation, and yeah, I mean, like what Leroy's saying, it's one of those situations where you do want some sort of advisement by either legal counsel or from, you know, the community development director that's soon to.
Do you have a thought?